So there's a couple things I want to talk about this draft. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to cover these points while discussing my picks, but I'm going to try. One of the things is the predominance of the tribes. You got humans, spirits, vampires, zombies, and werewolves. I'll talk a bit about that and some other stuff too. But looking at this pack, I think I'm going to pick the Elder of Laurels just because I want to try. It's one of those. I like to pick rares whenever I can because you don't get too many chances to play them, and so I like to take them when I can, even if they aren't ideal. Actually, that is one of the things I wanted to talk about is the lack of bombs in this set. I realized this listening to the Limited Resources podcast. Actually, you should go over and check them out. They point this out, and it's absolutely true that the rares in this set just aren't as game swingy as most sets. You notice, like in M12, Mind Control can basically win a game, and same in Scars of Mirrodin. You get a Mirror Battle Sphere on the field, and you've pretty much won right there just casting that. And it doesn't seem like it's the same. The same holds true for the rares in this set. So you have to adjust your gameplay accordingly because you have to build a lot more consistent decks. You can't depend on a giant dragon to win you the game for you. So that's something to think about. You're going to want to learn the commons and uncommons in this set because cards like Gavany Township here, they just aren't going to be winning you anything. This pack, I'm noticing Spectral Rider and Abyssinian Priest. They're both really good cards. I'm going to try to start staying out of white now because that seems to be the most valuable color to be in, so people are going to be fighting over it. But I think I'm going to have to take the risk this time because there doesn't seem to be much else here. Butcher's Cleaver is nice. But that's the other implication of having no bomb rares is that staying open isn't as important. You can just pick a color and go into it because you don't have to worry about staying open for the bomb. If there's no dragon that you have to quick change colors for, which is nice. I kind of like that because being thrown random angel or dragon or something like that late draft is a pain in the ass. You have to completely change your strategy around to get to it. And here I'm going to pick the Deadweight. That's one of those cards. It's just going to be a first pick pretty much every time. It's solid removal, and even if it can't kill whatever you're targeting, you can usually maim it pretty decently. Just take it down a couple notches. The other day, my opponent had Gargoyle. It was a 4/4 indestructible, and I brought it down to a 2/2 using that, and that was enough to allow me to power through. The Markov Patrician is another card I'm eyeing. I really like that guy. Even though it is really fragile with the 1 toughness, and there is the Geist Flame that you have to worry about, but it doesn't look like there's any pingers in this set. So usually you're going to trade with something, even if it's something crappy. And Hanweir, Watchkeep, I think I'm going to have to pick that. The other option is, I'm looking at the black cards here, Curse of Oblivion and Rotting Fen Snake. Neither of those are really good. I could start going into white, but I'm going to try to stay away from that. And also because it's boring. You guys don't want to watch me draft the same deck every single time. It's just not fun to watch. And I think I've drafted a couple white decks now on the YouTube channel. I'll have to check to see exactly what the numbers are. And there's another 3/1. I like him too. First Strike is pretty neat, and it gives you mana to use. Let's see. I'm still trying to figure out if Gutter Grime is a bomb or if it's just one of those constructed cards. I'm going to stay away from it for now. I'm going to try to go into black here because I like the Deadweight. I like using that. But Corpse Lunge is a pretty bad card. I'm not sure if I want to grab that. It's either that, the Voiceless Spirit, or the Kessig Wolf. And I think I'm going to have to go with the Voiceless Spirit here because flying is just too valuable. I've been undervaluing it. I always do that early in a set. I always pass the flying creatures, and then it ends up biting me later on. So I guess I will have to go into white. Sorry about that. Village Bellringer is just another really good card. I'm going to have to pick it. The only other option here is the Fesserhide Boar, and it's, I guess it's decent, but I just like the Bellringer so much more. And my second color is still pretty open. Even if I do end up heavy white, black, green, and red, none of those will be that hard to splash. So my options are still pretty open. Yeah, I'm going to have to pick the Rebuke or the Mob here. This kind of sucks. Sorry about that. Kind of hoping to build an interesting deck. I built a black-red aggro deck the other day. That was really fun. I think I'm going to pick the Rebuke. Removal is always nice. Unruly Mob's kind of neat. He can get pretty big. And you combo that with the Stitcher's Apprentice, and he gets big real fast if you do that. But just solid removal, it's hard to pick up, so I'm grabbing that up as fast as I can. I want to get that first. And maybe I'll get an Unruly Mob later, I'm not sure. Who knows? And at this point, I'm really happy with any color I end up in. Deadweight's really good. Elder of Laurels, I'll be able to test that out. And Hanweir, I haven't seen play yet, so I'm going to want to try that. But the red in this pack just isn't any good. Traitorous Blood's a solid pick if you're sure you're going to be aggro. But I'm not sure if I'm going to be aggro. White-black could be more of a control-y color. White-green is definitely not going to be aggressive. Green likes the fat creatures. And Rage Thrower, I don't like it. Way too expensive for what it's doing. 4/2 for 6, it's going to get itself killed. So I'm going to pick up the Mask of Avacyn. Solid power and toughness boost there. And Hexproof is really neat. Kind of helps your creatures out. The other option was the flying equipment, but if I'm going to be in white, I'm not too worried about flying. So the options here, we got some fixing here, and maybe pack 2 or 3, I might have to pick some of that up if I still haven't made up my mind about which colors I want. The other cards here, Demon Mail, I'm going to say it's not good. You want creature tokens or something like that to sacrifice to it, and not in the deck that I'm building right now. That's just not going to happen. So I'm gonna get the +2/+2. I'll stick that on one of the flyers, like the Voiceless Spirit, or I might get past one of those 1 white 2 3s later. So that should be interesting. And I think I'm getting pushed into a color now. I'm gonna I don't want 2 masks. It's entirely possible that I could get forced into situations where I have multiple equipments on the field and no creatures to stick them on, and that sucks. You definitely don't want that to happen. And nothing here is useful, so the Shatter I think is the most useful of any of these cards. I still haven't gotten to use it, unfortunately, but there is equipment in this set, so it's going to be I think it's a solid sideboard card. There are some sets where having a Disenchant or a Shatter is main deckable. I think it was M11, I would always main deck Naturalize because there was always something to kill. But I don't think that's true of this set yet. The equipment, there's enough equipment that you're going to want to sideboard the Shatter in, but just not worth it to main deck. And the equipment that does exist isn't that swingy. There's no bombs that take the form of an artifact. So usually you're not going to lose that badly if you don't run the Shatter. Oh, dude, look at all that blue. Oh, wow. none of it's really that great. The claustrophobia is kind of neat. But I'm going to pick up either the Chapelgeist or the Rebuke, and that's definitely going to be a tough choice because they're both high demand. I said before, removal's great, but I've also been underrating the flying in this set. I think I'm going to pick the removal this time, though. I just know removal gets snatched up real fast. That claustrophobia is not going to stay in this pack for very long. And it's the same with the cards like Dead Weight. They just get picked up so fast. And I have been seeing Chapelgeists past couple picks into a pack. So chances are I'll be able to get a Chapelgeist later. Maybe I should have picked the claustrophobia. I think that would have been my second pick there, not the flyer. Oh man, another Rebuke here. The ultimate defensive deck. That'd be interesting because there's no good white here. Diregraph Ghoul kind of sucks. The difference between turn 1 and turn 2 in draft just isn't that big a deal. In constructed, it's probably going to be in some sort of aggressive black deck. But in limited, it's just you'd much rather have a solid 2/2 with an ability of some sort. And we got another Rebuke here, so I'm going to grab that up. Typhoid Rats would probably be the other thing I'd want to pick because I'm kind of close to black. I think I'm going to end up in red because I picked up a couple cards in red that are playable. Furor of the Bitten, I've been very happy playing that. You stick that on a flying creature and you're going to be basically attacking every turn anyway, so you don't care that it has to attack because you want it to be doing that anyway. But if you get past too many, that's what I'd be worried about now. I've already got 2. I don't want more. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with the red now. Ashmouth Hound's a great card. The other Parallel Lives, I don't know what that does. An effect. Nope, I don't have any token makers, so that's not going to be useful. So yeah, it's either the Ashmouth Hound or I could stick with the Bonds of Faith. But I've been bitten in the past by Bonds of Faith. There's just so many humans in this set. I guess I can talk about that now. There's basically 5 tribes. There's humans, spirits, vampires, zombies, and werewolves. And humans seem to be the only really viable tribe in the set. There's a whole lot of good human cards, like Civilized Scholar here. They're mostly in white, but there's a couple in green that are good. This guy, there's a couple of the werewolves are humans. So chances are you're going to run up against humans when you're playing with Innistrad. And so that significantly makes some of the cards a lot worse. Here I'm going to either pick the Harvest Pyre or the Ashmouth Hound. And Harvest Pyre is still pretty unreliable, so I'm not going to pick that. So anyway, humans are definitely the most common. But what's interesting is the rest of the tribes really aren't that common. Spirits, I think, are the next most common, and they're also in white, which is one of the things that contributes to white, what makes white so powerful. Humans and spirits are both in that color. Humans are really common. Spirits are really common, but there aren't that many tribal spirits. There's the 3/3 flyer that's in blue and the one that's in white. But they don't offer that big a bonus, so there's not that big a reward in trying to pick up just spirits. But it's there's some hate for it, which is relevant. There's a disenchant. It's one in a white to destroy an enchantment or a spirit. I forget what it's called, but there might be targets for it. The Chapelgeist, which is a solid creature, is definitely a spirit. Same with Voiceless Spirit here. That's a spirit, obviously. So you got to watch out for that. The other thing is vampires, spirits, and vampires, zombies, and werewolves. I don't think they're as common. What's it called? Slayer of the Wicked. He's usually going to have a target, but not the ones. It's harder to get a target than you think. And the same thing with the Black. I'm terrible at names. I'm so sorry about that. Black to destroy target non-vampire, zombie, werewolf creature. Pretty much everything. It kills everything. So keep that in mind when you're drafting. Here I'm going to pick the Cobbled Wings. It's either that or the Cellar Door, and Cellar Door is just really unreliable, so I don't like picking it. And it looks like I'm finishing off my my curve there. There's another human relevant card. I've gotten him with haste several times now. There's just enough humans in the set, and they're in pretty much every color. You've got the werewolf cards that are in pretty much every color. Most of the flip cards are humans if they're not vampires. And just some of the random spellcasters and stuff like that appear in every color, just random dorks with abilities. They tend to be human as well. I think there's a couple elves, or maybe that's I'm not sure. I think a couple of them are an elf instead of a human. But for the most part, if your creature is just a creature with an ability, it's going to be a human. And these Bloodcrazed Neonates should not be going this late. They're really good cards. You drop that on turn 2, and they just get huge. Worst case, they're going to attack into something big. But that's where the Fuhrer, I hate that card. That's where that comes into effect. You drop a Neonate turn 2, and then drop the Fuhrer turn 3. And you have yourself a pretty solid attacker. And here's that giant blue pack, and nothing really here is really useful. Purebloods, pretty much did a 180 on that. I thought it would be good in this format, but it's not. So that's just garbage. The Stitcher's Apprentice does have he has a role though, so he's got a deck that he goes in. So I'm going to pick that up. So it looks like I've got a pretty solid Boros deck again. Nothing here really worth picking here. I think I'll just hate draft the Delver. So yeah, cards like the Abyssinian Priest are not as good as I thought they would be. There are a lot of humans that they can't target. The same with the Pacifism. And the cards like the Night Revelers will definitely be able to get their haste, at least part of the time. There's obviously a couple of situations where they're not going to have haste. You shouldn't assume that it's going to have haste when you cast it, but it's a good card, even if it doesn't have haste. Alright, we're down to the garbage now. I've already got a Shatter, so I'm going to pick the Manor Skeleton. I might splash a little bit of black for the dead weight. Oh, I can't pick that. I want to try playing with a Evil Twin, but I don't have the colors for it. Yeah, I'm going to try for the Scourge here. I haven't tried him out yet. The other option here is the Harvest Pyre. And I don't know, the fact that it can't target players, like I understand why they did that. It would be insane in your blue-red mill deck. You'd mill yourself and then burn them for 20. But it's kind of disappointing because I want to be able to lava axe my opponent. But there's just so many situations where I don't have anything in the graveyard and I just have to sit there and watch my opponent with his fat creature. Or I have some cards in the graveyard, but it's not enough, which is even more painful. If I could just like sacrifice one of my cards or discard something, I'd be able to kill their creature. So it's just not reliable enough for my tastes. The Scourge, though, I'm interested to see how that plays. It just looks like an interesting card. And at worst, it's going to be a 5-mana 4/4, which isn't bad. I've got the Night Revelers as well, so that's nothing to shake a stick at. There's that creepy doll again. I don't like that one. Wish it was a stuffy doll. Geist Flame's another card I'd like to try, but it's not that great. There's not enough 1 toughness creatures, I don't think. You've got that 1 flying spirit, and that's basically it. So I'm gonna pick up one of these black cards because they look pretty good. Riot Devils would be kind of nice. Maybe I should grab that instead. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I was thinking the Corpse Lunge or the Manor Skeleton would be kind of nice, just for my splash, or just take it out of my opponent's deck. Tribute to Hunger is pretty decent too. I don't like the fact that you don't get to choose what dies. Usually what ends up happening is they sacrifice some crappy dork that you don't even care about. So I'm not a big fan of that. Corpse Lunge, it's still not great. Because you have to have something big in the graveyard, but it's been my experience so far. It's not that. It's a bit more reliable. There's that card. It's kind of expensive for removal. Yeah, I'd much rather have the Neonate. So I've got 3 of those guys now? Jesus Christ. Yeah, that should be a nice little aggressive deck here I've got. The fact that I'm heavy red, I might end up in red-black. That'd be kind of interesting. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, nothing else here. I mean, Altar's Reef is really nice. I've improved my opinion of that when I realized it was an instant. I'll send in like a full-scale attack and they'll block one of my guys, and then I'll just pop them and draw 2 cards. Or they try to lightning bolt one of my guys, or or deadweight or something like that, and you can just Altar's Reef them real quick before their removal resolves, which is kind of nice. You get some cards out of a creature that's basically going to die anyway. Makeshift Mauler is something to keep an eye on. Someone's going to end up with that in their deck. Those get pretty nasty if you have a lot of them. You get that and the Stitch Drake, and the right mill cards. Armored Scab, I think, is my favorite so far. Mulch is also pretty fun. You get the right ones of those, and you've got yourself a pretty decent deck. Moment of Heroism would be really nice. Same with Fuhrer. If I'm going to be running 5 Neonates, that means I'm running pretty aggressive. I want something like this that's gonna pump my guy up. And the attack each turn of Fable is pretty much neutralized because I don't care. Because the Blood Crazed Neonate already has to attack each turn of Fable, so +2/+2 is basically all that's relevant. And Moment of Heroism, I'm not going to be too worried about gaining life, so the lifelink isn't that great. So I guess I'd just much rather have the consistent +2/+2 than give it +2/+2 once and then get some life back. So it looks like the aggressive strategy in this format is pretty decent. You've got a whole bunch of... Oh, Jesus Christ, you've got to be kidding me. Oh man, this is going to be real interesting. The aggressive strategy is really good. You've got creatures like the Blood Crazed Neonates. You've also got the Ashmouth Hound. Basically a 2/1 with like first strike. It deals 1 damage before your opponent can even get to first strike damage. The Watchkeep's also really good. It's basically a 3-mana 5/5. When it's in its human form, the 1/5 is pretty hard to take down. So I'm not too worried about him. With some of the smaller versions, you got to worry about casting them, and then they get shocked before they can transform, and that's just not a worry with the Watchkeep. And I guess I'll pick the Spare from Evil just because I don't care about anything else. None of these cards are really any good. Oh, that would have been nice. Forgot about that. I thought that was the one with instants and sorceries. Trepanation Blade's really nice. You kind of need more flyers to make it work, though. Yeah, none of these are really any good. Cobbled Wings would be kind of neat. Give one of my Neonates flying. Yes, please. So I've got 2 of those, mask. I've got some equipment to load them up with. Spare from Evil is going to be nasty. Like I said about the humans, non-human means there are going to be a lot of humans that are still going to be able to block my Neonates. But holy cow, if the creatures that it doesn't that aren't protected from Spare from Evil, holy cow. Now, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to go with this one this time. I just want to give it a try. I've got enough furs now. I've got a couple of them, so I want to give the Traitor's Blood a try. Seems like it'd be a great finisher. You stick that on an enemy creature and just swing in. Finish them off. And that's exactly what I was looking for right there. That's a great aggressive card right there. +2/+0. And it flashes back, which is really awesome. What ends up happening is, even if there's sometimes where I might have 6 mana untapped and just cast it and flash it back all at once, and all of a sudden there's +4 power on each of my creatures than my opponent expected. And that's huge. If my opponent's like under 10 life and he's on the defensive, that's really going to hurt. Yeah, nothing here is really that useful except the Ridge Wolf there. There aren't really creature tokens in this set, I've noticed. There's a couple. There is a deck. I'll let him brag about it. If there was someone in the channel that built a deck that used that card, and it was pretty neat. But it's kind of off the beaten path. You're not usually going to build that deck. Alright, so basically I'm just building a pretty aggressive deck here. Just throw in the Ashmouth Hounds and the Neonates. To do 5 Neonates, yes please. And I'm going to try the Scourge out. This aura is really good in this deck. And same with Spectral Rider, these are all good attackers. And that's good. And I'll put in the equipment. I'm going to have plenty of stuff to stick that is on. So now do I want... Oh, I left one out. Yeah, I want that. And I want that. And I've got a whole bunch of 2/3 mana cards, so I'm going to go for 16 lands this time. I might even go to 15 if I have something. And I think I'll try the Spare from Evil. Alright, mostly red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'll leave a note in the description of this video how it ends up going. I get the feeling that either I'm going to be winning like crazy with this deck, or I've missed something and they're going to kick my ass. So let's figure out which option that is.